All right. Welcome, everyone, to Q&A Tuesday. We can't turn around in these chairs. This is a bit of a different look for Q&A Tuesday. We're doing it out of our other studio. I invited Adrian over to do the Q&A with me, to be a helping hand, so to speak. And you know what? You guys have gotten used to seeing him on my show. He's going to become a permanent fixture, and I figured, you know what? It's always good to get two different opinions. And from those of you guys that have been watching Watches and Whiskey, you certainly know that we always have a difference of opinion,
yes,
right?
Always.
Always. So, again, we're jumping right into the questions. I have the questions here on the screen. First question comes, let's see, from Connor Henson. And he asked, do we charge sales tax? Simple answer, yes, we do if you're buying locally from us. As of right now, there are a lot of changes on the internet with this whole sales tax thing. Some states, you have to charge up an X amount of money and then start paying sales tax. There's a software in the works that we're implementing that's going to figure it all out for us, because there's no way we can keep up with all that stuff. One state says, hey, you are to pay sales tax on sales post $100,000. Another state says something else, and so on and so forth. Too many rules and regulations. Once all that gets regulated in, we'll just have to pay for a software to do that for us. But for now, if you're buying out of state, there's no sales tax. Ryan Walzak, hey Ryan, how are you, buddy? Are you a buyer on a Pepsi at 20K plus, or should we hold tight and wait out? Do you see this being a future classic with the likes of the Daytonas and the Sky Dweller? Well, Adrian, are we a buyer on a Pepsi at 20K?
20K, please let us know what currency that is, because if it's USD, I'm going to say no.
Where we're a buyer on a Pepsi
18,000 if it's new.
For a brand spanking new one, and to resell it for what? 19?
Maybe 19, yeah.
Maybe 19,000. Yeah. So Pepsi isn't quite there for a dealer to buy at $20,000. Is this a future classic with the Sky Dweller? Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
The Daytona is the Daytona. The second closest is going to be now the Sky Dweller, I would imagine. Although they're hand in hand with the Pepsis and the subs and all the other steel stuff. I mean, everything steel from Rolex today is just on fire. So
you know, it's funny. I just had a conversation with one AD. I'm not going to mention any names, and he had mentioned that. As short of supply as Pepsis may seem, or Daytonas, they actually get less Sky Dwellers than they do Pepsis in every metal. They might get 2 or 3 of each dial, simply because it's actually their highest complication, and they just don't make as many. So Sky Dwellers actually, in terms of volume produced, is actually much less than Pepsi.
Here's another Rolex, surprise, another Rolex question from Lasari. As the expectation is that Rolex will discontinue Chrono Explorer 2 this year, any updates with a new version? Do you, as gray market dealers, buy those more than usually now when they are this question? More usually now when they are cheaper? Well, first of all, anybody that tells you anything discontinued is all hearsay. We don't know if the Explorer is going to be discontinued. And we don't play the game of guessing, oh, this is going to be discontinued. Like, we didn't go out there and buy up a bunch of 5711s and held them knowing more or less that it's going to be discontinued with all the rumors.
Wish we had that insider information.
You know, but at the end of the day, it's still not worth it as a dealer. You know, you're going to buy up a bunch of stuff and hold it. The amount of time it takes to hold stuff versus taking that money, putting it into the next watch, and turning it, it doesn't really make sense. So even if I knew for a fact that the Explorer 2 was discontinued, would I put a few away? Yes, in the short term, I probably would, because it's not that big of an investment. But when you're talking about watches that are a lot more expensive, it makes no sense.
Correct.
Let's see. Oh, this is for you, Adrian, for sure. Kieran Walsh. Considering my first Richard Mille, and I am drawn to the 6702, what color combo do you recommend to see the biggest upside when I look to exit it? Before you answer, a watch, and the first thing you think about is exiting. Right? When you go out and get a brand new car, you don't think about the day you're going to sell that. It's true for boats, right? But it's for watches, don't do that. But I'll let you answer that question regardless.
Well, again, I mean, first and foremost, the 6702, great watch. It's very unique in terms of its case size. It's real fun because
it's comfortable.
Such a comfortable watch. Most comfortable. Well, it's comfortable to the point that you don't even know it's on you.
Exactly, you know? Especially if you use the underwear rubber band.
I would say on the 6702, first and foremost, get which color you like, because they are such unique colors. But the one that holds the highest premium on the market by far is the white one.
Yeah, I was going to say the white one. That's the Zverev, no?
No, Zverev is the German color one.
The German,
that is discontinued. I don't think you can actually get that new anymore.
Okay, fair enough. Watch Society. Hey, buddy. Watch Society. Big shout out to Watch Society. If you guys don't follow him on his channel, do so. He's a fast-growing channel. He's a very fast-growing channel from Dubai. Very cool content. Hello from Dubai. Do you think AP Royal Oak is going even to be more in demand in 2021? What are your thoughts?
I don't know if in more demand. It's hard to. I guess
How much more can it get? I mean, it's
hard,
insane as it is.
It's hard to measure what exactly that is. It all depends on how many units they actually produce in 2021, because we know for a fact that in 2020 it was definitely a shorter production, and two brands by far, AP and Richard, even though Patek and Rolex are still number 1 and 2 in terms of actual lack of supply, AP and Richard Mille.
I would say Richard Mille is number 1 and AP is number 2 in regards to lack of supply. I will tell you this: if they're smart, they'll continue producing less. They'll stick to the numbers they stuck with in 2020 during COVID, because if they do that, the hype is going to be like. I mean, look, just now a dealer called me to quote a blue dial Royal Oak Chrono.
Yeah,
I quoted him $45,000. Which means he's gonna have to.
Which you underquoted because.
Actually I didn't quote him. I told him my cost on one is $45,000, which means he's got to get out there and quote. Let's see, for us to make, let's say, $1,500 a piece, he's got to quote it out of $49,000. Yeah. It's insane. Yep. It's absolutely insane. All right, let's see. Next we have. Mr. Inazio, another Rolex question, but this one is different. I promise you. When buying a Rolex or a really nice watch at an AD, it's a great experience. What does your company offer in making the buying experience a memorable one? How about a cheaper price?
Well, sometimes.
Look, I understand the concept behind the white glove service. When you walk into a boutique, you feel a certain way. Even till this day, as a dealer, and when I'm out and about somewhere, and I'll walk into a watch store, I usually have a nice watch on my wrist. The reaction that I get and the service that I get, it's great. But at the end of the day, what are you going to go for? You're going to go for either having somebody have the ability to get you the watch you want, which is what today's market is all about, or do you go for somebody who's going to basically be kissing your ass and saying, hey, getting you coffee and champagne and all those things, that whole big VIP experience, or do you go for a virtual experience, which in turn will provide you with a better price most of the time? Because the gray market dealers, historically, again, bad time to look at it, but historically, we just give better prices. We find watches that one can't find.
I'll tell you one benefit of a gray such as ours out there versus an actual authorized dealer. On one side, you get the white glove experience and authorized dealer, the champagne, the invitations to set events or whatever the case may be. Nice store, they sit you down, give you champagne. However, the relationship that you get with them, maybe you'll get a couple of nice pieces, but the relationship that you accrue with a gray guy such as ourselves is
for life.
It's not that it's for life. It's the questions that we can help answer, the trade-ins that we take, the market knowledge and expertise that we have. ADs just simply don't have that. They don't know.
Exactly. Majority of the salespeople that are out there, they're trained to sell you a watch, particular brand.
The watch costs this. Oh, by the way, I might be getting this. Do you want it? But if you come back to the AD, most of them nowadays, but they don't know what to pay for this watch. They can't really point you in advice. They're very one dimensional in their approach. So that's how I feel.
Evan Saltzman, love the Vacheron Constantin Overseas blue phase. I love it just the same. I love the Chrono. I love the Power Reserve. I love the Plain Jane.
Right there, next Sean Park.
Yeah, we'll come back. Where I know watches are not investments. Thank you. Hey, speaking of which, sweatshirt Adrian is wearing. Right, so my marketing team is saying, "Hey, Roman, you got to get merch. You got to get merch. You got to merch." I told them all the same thing. I'm not going to be the guy selling T-shirts and sweatshirts, but I am going to be the guy giving them away, donating them for raffles and things like that. So one of the things I wanted to announce. Hey, and it goes along with the question is, don't invest in watches, Roman Sharf, right? Watches are not an investment. We're going to be giving this away to the most creative question that comes through on this show. So, guys, get creative with your questions. So, as far as the Vacheron, let me find this question. I think it's one that has potential to appreciate and value thoughts. Absolutely, I will agree with you. It's a watch that's already trading at retail plus. Right. I know that the allocation to dealers is tiny. I also know that the discount on them is smaller to a dealer. So if Vacheron Constantin is a 45 off brand to an authorized dealer, the overseas line is actually minus 25 to them.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's pretty insane, which forces them to sell that watch at retail. Why they are. Again, part of the Holy Trinity, the oldest running historically the oldest running company in the world of horology. Definitely, again, not an investment, but a good place to park your money and enjoy a very beautiful watch, regardless of which model you choose. That's my thought on it. Let's see.
He was going for the blue dial, by the way, blue face.
Yeah, blue face.
Actually, it is the best blue dial on the market. The best.
The new Snoopy. The sub dials and the
I'm
bezel.
talking about just
Yes.
blue dial.
As much as I love AP, it's much nicer than the blue dial.
Way nicer
it's
than 5711.
way nicer than 5711, way nicer than the 15500, 400, etc.
Yep.
Definitely the nicest blue dial out there. All right, let's see.
Sean Park.
Sean Park asks, hey, Roman and Adrian, great content, awesome videos, thank you. If Rolex comes out with a new Explorer 2 this year, another Explorer 2 question, this year, will it make the price of both the discontinued 216570 and 16570 go up, even the 16570? Absolutely. I mean, whenever something is discontinued, right? Look what happened with the 5711 just now. I mean, it went through the roof. It's over $100,000.
He's saying if they come out with a new version, which we covered today.
Right, but they will go up. The older one will go up, and the newer one will go up.
Maybe.
Look.
I wouldn't if I could place a bet on it. I would say no.
Either one of them
on the 216570.
Yeah.
I really don't think so.
No.
I guess it really depends on what they come out with. If they come out with an Explorer 3, that's a relative bust in the Rolex terms. Then maybe the 216570 will go up. But overall, like we covered today, new sub came out. It was all the hype, bringing damn near $20,000. The old sub kind of went down a little bit in market value, but then it kind of caught right back up.
Okay. Look, I'm going to go with Adrian on this one because when it comes to Rolex and when it comes to, having his finger on the pulse of the market, I've always said it, he is number one, second to none. I, spend my time, I share my time. I do sell, I do buy, I do all those things, but I share my time across other tasks in the company. So I'm going to go with what he said. I'm gonna mangle this. Davidas Tomosa?
Davidas Tomosa.
Davidas. It's spelled pretty funny. But anyway, if I want to start a watch business, I'm an amateur in watches. Do I start selling watches under 1K and make my way up to luxury watches, or save up and start straight from luxury? Thanks, guys.
Straight from luxury.
Straight from luxury.
100%.
And guess what? You don't really have to even save up. Today's day and age, the watch business has got so polluted, and I say polluted with watch flippers and brokers and things of that nature. And I don't use polluted in a negative sense. I use it in the sense where there's just a lot of guys out there that are able to buy, sell, flip watches. If you can find yourself a platform, be it a social media platform, be it a website, be it a live podcast, YouTube, whatever, Facebook, whatever it might be, if you can figure out ways to bring the client to yourself and make a name for yourself so that people will entrust you with a lot of money in order to purchase a watch, and you're able to deliver those watches and make a name for yourself, you don't have to start with $500 watches. You can start by trying to flip a $100,000
to be quite honest with you, not because we're trying to tell you to dump a bunch of money into your investment, but it's a lot harder to sell a $500 watch than a $5,000 watch. By far.
Yeah, it is.
What I mean?
It is.
Way harder.
It is, as funny as it may sound. And you know what? I have plenty of, there's plenty of guys, my YouTube fans, that I've made over the last 2 years that have gotten into do this, and you know what they're doing? They're doing it with me. They call me up and say, Roman, I have an opportunity to buy this watch. And I tell them, you know what? Go pay $10 for it. I'll pay you $11, and there's your profit. He takes all the risk out of it.
I've made a lot of people a lot of money over the past couple of years.
Same,
for sure.
Same. And so you don't have to get out there and take on the risk. You can reach out to guys like myself or Adrian or anybody else out there. You don't necessarily have to reach out to us.
Like watch hunters nowadays.
Exactly. Become a watch hunter. You know, find me those deals. I'll tell you how much you should pay, and I'll tell you how much you're going to make taking all the risk out of it. So hope that helps.
Alberto Cruz.
Roman and Adrian, you guys rock. We rock, bro. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Alberto.
Thank you. A quick question. What do you guys think the social media online business is going? Where I'm assuming he meant to say, where do you think the social media online business is going, Facebook groups, etc.?
Hey, Alberto, I actually I think you're in a group that I'm in as well. That you asked this question. I think that some of the Facebook groups have single-handedly put a dent in the retail, not only the retail, the watch business as a whole, because it has opened up a way for the average Joe to become a watch collector / reseller, because the access to information is so easy, and in one Facebook group can hold just unlimited amount of people, and everybody goes on Facebook that has Facebook, so immediately you go right to the platform. So it's become easy. You take a picture of a watch. If you're approved to be on that group, you throw it up for whatever price you deem necessary, and you have a business right there, sitting in your living room.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna discuss Instagram. Instagram is one of those instant things that allows you to put up a product, or put up a post and actually buy.
Well, here's where Instagram and Facebook actually differ a lot. Instagram, in terms of just straight vertical sale, I post a watch and it sells. It's not a huge conversion. Why? Because on
a stupid algorithm.
No, forget about the algorithm. It's because on Facebook groups, most of these groups, you're somewhat vetted to be in there, so you get to sell your watch on there. Instagram, you see a lot of recycled photos and photos of things that are just that don't belong to people. So on these Facebook groups, you must sell what you actually have. So,
all right, let's see. Here's one for Tariq Chaudhary. He's actually a long-time viewer. I do remember that handle. Hey, Roman, I have an opportunity to buy a dual-time Vacheron Overseas blue dial at retail. Should I pull the trigger? Is that a watch?
Yes.
Is that a watch we can deliver under if it was pre-owned?
No, you can't now.
It just
they're not giving discounts anymore.
There's your answer. Go ahead and pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm. Nice watch.
Nice watch. Let's see.
Mr. Enzio again.
Where am I at?
Right there.
Let's see. Michael Freundland.
What is your view on Omega?
So Michael Freundland writes, Roman, what is your view on Omega 39.5mm Planet Ocean in Sedan Gold and in ceramic and Sedna? Some say ladies model, but American sites have it listed as men. Definitely a men's model. All right, and I don't know if we're live. We can't really put stuff up on the screen, but do I like the watch? Not a big fan. Just aesthetically, not a watch that I personally like. But do I think this is a men's watch? Yes, this is definitely a men's watch. It's meant to be a men's watch. Can be worn by a lady? Absolutely, it can be. Me personally, not a big fan. Let's see.
Scott Roberts, hold on. Or Mr.
Here we go,
again?
Mr. Enzio again. If I buy a brand new Rolex with box and papers from a gray dealer, can I still get my name on the warranty card as if I bought it from an AD?
Well, they no longer put names on warranty cards.
Took the words out of my mouth.
As of late August of 2020, so
it's now becomes irrelevant. In the past, you could
which
have.
Is great.
Yeah,
I really like that
it
new
is great.
system.
I'll tell you one thing. In the past, we were able to do that, and the way we did it is that if I would never put my ADs in jeopardy or in danger from losing their lives by selling their watches to people that I don't know. But my existing clients in the past that I know that I've done business with, I know they're private and I'm going to go flip this watch or put her online and none of that stuff, I would call my AD, say, hey, it's a known client, this is his name, please put the name in the card, and that's how it ended up. But majority of the time, you're going to get somebody else's name. Ooh, Scott Roberts, what is your favorite whiskey if you had to pick one?
Favorite whiskey if I had to pick one?
Yes.
Let you go.
Now I'm gonna go with Macallan. You can't go wrong with Macallan. And again, you don't have to get super fancy. Even the you don't have to go 18 or 25 or 30. And Macallan is just a good whiskey. I mean, for me,
Yamazaki 21. How about them apples?
Well, Yamazaki 21 is a little bit of. Want to go easy? Yes, I would take a Hibiki 21 and things of that nature. But basic go-to Macallan, can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Let's see, what does this say? Another Rolex question from Turbo. If you had to pick one watch out of these two for long-term investments, which would it take? White gold GMT Pepsi blue dial, or white gold Daytona Oyster Flag Ghost silver dial?
If you had to pick one watch out of the two for long-term investment, again, it depends what your cost is on the watch.
Assuming you bought it at list, I guess.
Assuming you bought it at list, just based on current market value and premium percentage over retail, I would say the Daytona Oyster Flex.
So where's the Oyster Flex now?
New Daytona Oyster Flex and white gold trades for $38,000 today.
What's the retail?
Retail 30 maybe now,
right?
And white gold GMT is around the 38,000, and that trades for around 43,000.
So based on today's numbers, the answer would be the Oyster Flex. Although not a fan, not a fan of the Oyster Flex.
Love them.
Abedin Dosa, is the Omega Snoopy 50th anniversary a good purchase at retail? 38th on the waiting list. How realistic will it be to wait? I don't know.
At least they gave you a number on the waiting list. I didn't even know that was a thing.
It was like an actual ticket, like in a deli. Absolutely, yes, it is. You've already seen a few of them up there at triple list. Are they going to be selling at triple list? They may be listed at triple list, but they're going to bring close to that. If you get the watch and you decide to resell, call me. It's definitely a good buy. Andrew Edwards. Hey guys, I bought a 5980 1A blue dial in 2016 for $40K, box and papers.
Congratulations.
I've worn it almost daily, so I have scratches on it. If I want to sell, should I polish or just sell scratch?
No, sell it as is, because unless you're going to some watchmaker, we've seen some complete butcher jobs, and it's really hard to come back from that, and it severely devalues your watch.
As a dealer, I'd rather you sell it to me worn as you wore it, since the watch was brand new, because I know the people that I have that can polish up the watch, do a proper job. What you also shouldn't do is send it to Paddock to get it redone, because it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, and it's not going to add any value. But you should sell the watch as is, because unless you have someone who you have entrusted over the years to be able to do a proper job or a proper polish.
Sorry to cut you off. Considering the cost that you're into it for, you probably should send it in the Paddock. You know,
but what is that going to add in terms of value?
For a service, the 5980 chronograph, it will.
As is, scratched up 5980 2016. What are you paying today?
It's 85 grand.
85. If that watch came to you, service from Paddock, what are you going to pay? 86.
No, I pay more.
No, you wouldn't. I mean, maybe at $1,000. But the problem is when you send watches into service, they start saying, "Oh, you need this screw, you need that, you need to replace that," and before you know it, it's a $7,000 bill.
When you're into it for 40, if you're into it for 80, that's one thing. If you're into it for 40,
here's a good one for you. Mudasik. What is currently the best value to get into a gold watch? Modern case sizing and resale value. And resale value is of no concern. So we're talking about like a value, like value for the money.
I think he needs to determine what you mean by value.
I think value for the money. Let's assume it's value. Let's assume this value for the money. Like what is there in gold today that's good value for the money in your eyes? It's definitely not a Royal Oak Chrono Rose Gold on a bracelet.
I would say, which watch I actually really like, the Omega Speedmaster. Yeah, believe it or not, I said it. The one with like the red bezel. Mm-hmm. I think in terms of the value of gold versus that retail price and the market price, I think that's a.
Who's talking back there, by the way? Anyway, I am going to say, I'm going to generalize this, and I'm going to say.
And you're also not going to take
older complications from Paddock. 5040s, 5059s, 5159s. Some of the older perpetuals and that are in precious metals, they're trading so low right now. I mean, they're trading less of that of a price of. Some of them are trading less of a price of a Daytona. You can pick up an old 5036 on gold for that costs less than a stainless steel Daytona. So if you want to talk about value for what you're getting, I think some of the older complicated Paddocks is where it's at. Let's see. Tanzil Ansari, do you see Konstantin Chaykin Joker line watches in the dealer community? What's the best way to get one, since you can buy from the manufacturer in Russia? The only way to get these, I see this very, very seldomly. They're trading through the roof. I think triple its original value. Yeah, they're like triple value. Look, it's one of those independents that only make so few watches, and they're not very accessible. That's why on the secondary market you see them at triple the value.
Never been offered. Never been.
Requested. I was actually offered one for like $7,000 or $8,000 a long time ago. Like an ass, I passed on it. That watch is like upwards of 30 grand right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's a cool watch, and it's a cool independent. But the only thing about the watch and the community, because they make so few of them, we don't really, like he says, what Chaykin? You haven't seen one ever.
I mean, I know what it is.
Yeah, you know what it is, but you haven't you don't see them on the chats. You don't see them offered to us. They're just not around. So I couldn't really tell you the best way of getting it is finding somebody that has one and paying them the premium. And by the way, that was a $5 donation question. So apparently, there's ways to donate money in these live things.
Thank you very much, Tanzil.
Yeah, to get your questions up higher or whatever. Guys, I'm not going to keep any of this money, so whatever money comes back from this live chat, we'll donate it to an organization. Let's see.
Do you think AP will introduce Code 1159 in-house Chrono Movement into Royal Oak 26331 line? If yes, would the current AP Chrono goes down in history books as AP PK Royal Oak, similar to Rolex Zenith Daytona? I don't really think that the average 26331 wearer really cares too much about that.
Yeah, it's here's the thing. If you bring up the Rolex Zenith Daytona, the collectability of the Zenith Daytona movement is not there because it was a Zenith movement or a different movement per se. It's because of how Rolex collecting is overall. You know, every little tiny change in a dial, any little tiny change in the pushers, the hands, whatever it might be, it all adds to the collectability of that Rolex, right? If for only so many years they made this bezel or that dial or T-Swiss T and all those wonderful things that you see in the world of vintage, that's what adds to the collectability of it. Rolex is known for that. AP is really not known for that. AP is not known for that. Oh, because we changed the movement, now that movement becomes a lot more collectible. It's more like, oh, they discontinued the 15400 and now they don't have 41 millimeter Royal Oak, so therefore they're collectible. I don't find it to be movement related or
zero
at all. Like there's zero now. There's zero like comparison there is what I'm going to say. So to answer your question, no, you can't compare that to a Rolex Zenith Daytona. It's a completely different collectability spectrum or whatever you want to call it, right? Avi, now this is from Drop Shot. Hi, why don't you accept Bitcoin? We actually do. So we set up BitPay,
or we're implementing it.
Well, we already set it up, so we can already take it. Now they're just figuring out the piece of software that's going to go on the website, and we are going to be accepting Bitcoin. In the past, I wanted to find a trustworthy company to do these transactions with. Because look, I'm not in the business of making money on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I'm not even going to get into all that. We are in the market of selling watches.
Something to be discussed.
Yeah. Anyway. we are in the market to sell watches and make money off the watches that we sell. So we needed an engine, if you will, that's trustworthy to take my client's money and then in turn my money. And I didn't want to play the market. So with this new BitPay system, the way it really works is that the client pays in Bitcoin. It works like a trade basically. The system will tell you, hey, this is how much Bitcoin you owe, and for me, in order for me to get the asking price that I'm asking,
it converts it in the U.S. dollar.
It converts it to U.S. dollar. I get paid instantly. It takes everything out of it. It's like currencies, right? Like we buy a lot of stuff overseas, right? And when we buy stuff overseas, we lock. I have a currency broker with whom I call and say, hey, listen, lock in a contract for 100,000 euros, right? There were a couple of times where I was doing a big deal and there was a swing in the currencies, and luckily. It was a big swing.
Went in your favor.
Luckily, it was in my favor. But I actually learned my lesson, right? I ended up making like an extra $10,000 or $11,000 on a deal. It was a big deal. But I learned a lesson because if that swing, it could have went the other way. So I learned not to play with all that stuff. And this new BitPay system that we're implementing is certainly something that's going to allow me to do this safely. Big Danny Boy Watches. What is the biggest miscalculation you've ever made as a watch dealer? Wait.
Selling off every Richard Mille in 2020.
No, but it's not fair to answer it that way because again, we're not in the business of holding merchandise. We're in the business of selling it live, and I have a look back of what has gone up and what has gone down.
I would say you have made worse miscalculations on buys historically over time than I have. But again, everybody takes risks in investments. You know, we try to do our best to buy the right stuff. I can't really think anything off the top of the head that would be like. I got one off the top of my head right now.
Oh yeah.
The Harry Winston.
Which one?
You
guys. I don't know if you guys watched the video where I showed this humongous mangle of a Harry Winston. Just this gaudy.
It's a piece of jewelry.
It was a humongous, but it was a $1.6 million watch retail. We paid $200,000 for the thing, thinking we're going to sell it for $400,000 or $500,000 because it's such a blind piece. Not real. It's just not wearable. The mistake was with that watch is that we gave it to Antiquorum to put on there, and we gave a reserve of $330,000. And Antiquorum told us, like, listen, make the reserve $300 or $275, it'll sell. And we're stubborn, thinking we're going to make all the money on this watch. We just got it. And guess what? They bid up to $285 or something, didn't sell. We were stuck with it, and we ended up selling it. I think we lost $5,000 on it. Let's see. Any thoughts on a discontinued Lange Saxonia annual calendar? You can buy Langes less than retail pre-owned, but do you think these will increase in value? I have a little glass ball that will tell me that yes, it is a good investment right now. I think Lange's on the come up, and you can quote me a year from now on this channel. If you're watching, you're going to see Lange prices go up across the board.
And it's about time.
And it's about time. I have a lot of respect for that brand.
Love
in the world of the big Swiss boys, I think these guys stand on their own. I personally feel that their watchmaking is better than that of Patek Philippe. That's my personal opinion. Some of the watches that they make and the craftsmanship behind those watches, it's insane. And I think that they're very much underpriced right now.
Zeitwerk Striking Time, one of my grailables.
One of your grailable watches? Gotcha. Let's see. Dante-esque. Hi guys, what could be a better investment between a steel Daytona, a green gold Daytona, or a Royal Oak 15202, knowing that you have to buy them at the gray market price? I'm gonna go with Daytona.
I'm sorry, the steel Daytona.
This is
better investment between a steel Daytona, a green Daytona, or a Royal Oak? It's a hard question to ask. It depends what you buy them for. So if my opinion of a market price for somebody else might be a little bit different. But let's say just based off my market price today, I'm gonna go with the 15202 ST.
But the price is insane. What's a 15202 at right now?
Yeah, I know, but this is the perfect mathematical formula right there when it comes to supply and demand. They just do not.
Yeah, they make a lot more Daytonas.
They just do not supply anybody with 15202s. They're just.
I'm going from a perspective of
if they discontinue the green dial Daytona.
I'm going from a perspective of just the overall
Daytona.
number one selling watch in the world. That's always going to be the steel Daytona. Yeah. So that's kind of why I went that route really quick. You want to take that name? Viratsvis of Lithuania. So I'm guessing this guy's from Lithuania or something?
Viratis of Lithuania.
That's pretty good. Okay. Are you from Lithuania by any chance? Or
no, Moldova and Ukraine and Philly.
Anyway, Roman, Adrian, please help me. I've got 47,000
burning
a hole in my pocket. All right, let's cut the live. Give me a call. Let's burning a hole in my pocket. Should I buy one Bitcoin or a Rolex Daytona Patrizzi dial? Well, we're watch people. Obviously, I'm going to tell you to buy the watch.
Hey,
not just that particular.
Well, time out on this.
Yeah, what are you trying to do?
Okay, so the Patrizzi dial is, again, it's one of those things where between two different collectors and dealers will fetch a different value because at the end of the day, Patrizzi, if you want to explain to exactly what it is, it's almost like a blemish in the dial or almost a defect, right? Essentially,
it's sub-dials turning brown basically.
Right,
and it was. I know Mr. Patrizzi. They dubbed it the Patrizzi dial because he's huge in the vintage world in the watch market. He's humongous, right? And they dubbed it the Patrizzi dial because that's what he dubbed it to be.
Depends how
he
much
dubbed that to be collectible.
It depends how much Patrizzi's in the dial. Right?
Nah, it's just the sub-dials are going to turn tropical, basically.
I would say Bitcoin.
I'd say Patrizzi dial. All right. Sean Park, if you and Adrian could magically turn yourselves into watches, oh shit, which watch would you guys be and why? I'm going to let you go first on that one.
Whichever watch ends up on Scarlett Johansson's wrist, I guess. That's the one I'd be.
You just literally stole my answer. You just killed my dream by this. Angelina Jolie for me, honestly, or Halle Berry, one of those. Yeah. Okay, if I'm magically turned into a watch, what's a watch that talks a lot? I don't know. If I was to turn myself into a watch,
we're going because
I don't even know how to answer that. Like I said, you stole my thunder with that one. I don't even know how to. I would turn into my Grail watch. I would turn into a Skywind Tourbillon from Patek.
I would
be complicated, expensive, and
I would still try to end up on some Instagram model's wrist. I could be a tag courier. I don't care.
Let's see. We have Simon Borg. Love the videos, and I love vintage new Omega watches. But what is the really different between an Omega and a Rolex? More than the brand, cause Omega makes beautiful watches and good ones. The difference is one is Rolex and one is Omega. Rolex is number one by far, and Omega is not too far behind them, but they're Omega. Listen,
household
names, and they're both a household name. But at the end of the day, if you think of a fancy watch, you ask 100 people, 99 out of them are going to say Rolex, right? You say, hey, give me a brand of a fancy watch. That's, Family Feud. You know what I mean? It's going to be Rolex. Omega will be there, but if we were playing Family Feud, I think Omega would be somewhere in the 3-4 spot.
Rolex is the best made watch, period.
Made?
Made.
In terms of durability, yes, I'll agree.
How many Rolexes do we get back?
You don't have to. You preach to the choir.
For anything.
My single red sub is as old as me. It's 45 years old. I've had the watch for over 10 years. I haven't serviced it.
They have the precision in their movements and their engineering is superior to all.
Here's Vesa Harju. Do you still remember your very first watch? Shout out from Finland. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Vesa. I do remember my very first fancy watch, and that was a Rolex Datejust. It was a stainless steel Datejust that a buddy of mine that owned a pawn shop in Atlantic City brought me for $1,000, and that was my first fancy watch. You?
Mine was a Breitling Chrono Movement Evolution, blue dial. That was the shit back in the day.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It was. Still is, by the way. I don't know what that is.
Roman, what's your opinion on the Go 70s Chrono?
I don't know what that is.
Go.
Oh, wait a minute. No. What is your opinion on the Glashutte original 70s Chrono? Okay, I'm like, go 70s Chrono. What is that?
The GoPro.
Well, I've told you guys numerous times, I have a lot of respect for German watchmakers, Lange being one of them, and Glashutte being another one. And Glashutte is sort of that cheaper Lange.
Is that how they pronounce it?
Glashutte original. Listen, pronunciation of these brands,
They make
and you know, a lot of people troll on me on the comments, like, well, if you're gonna do this, you should learn how to pronounce. You should learn how to pronounce these names, guys. There's no right or wrong way to pronounce these names, right? Because they're Swiss names, they're German names. So depending who's pronouncing it, you know, some people will say JJ LeCoultre, you know, and some people will say Jaeger LeCoultre. I say Jaeger LeCoultre. So I say
JLC.
There you go. They can't go wrong with that. Absolutely. So Glashutte original. The 70s Chrono, aesthetically, it's a very, very pleasing watch. To me, personally, I don't know about you, but, and Glashutte in general, I've always loved Glashutte in general because, again, to me, they're an option for someone out there to find a more affordable option to a German manufacturer. They're literally made next door in Glashutte, right? To Lange & Son. Another one is Nomos Glashutte, which is really affordable. There are, you know, you can pick up a Nomos Glashutte for, you know, a couple $1,000s. So Glashutte makes some beautiful, complicated watches. They're very similar to that of Lange & Son, and not because they're copying each other, but they're from the same place. You know what I mean? At some point, I'm sure they're great. They all work together.
Lange dials actually say Glashutte on.
Well, because they're from Glashutte. Yeah. But with that said, I don't think you can go wrong with any Glashutte. What would be my favorite Glashutte? I would probably go with the Panomatic Lunar. That's the one. That's my pick from Glashutte. I'm not going to ask you what your pick is because I don't. When was the last time you sold a Glashutte?
I actually sold that platinum green one. Remember?
Oh, we had the limited edition platinum. Yeah, that was a beautiful watch. It was a little on the heavy side and big side for Glashutte.
I think I've sold 5 Glashuttes in my life.
I've sold it. I've sold a
maybe
few more.
5.
Arjun Shringi. Sorry.
Arjun Shringi.
Okay, is asking, hey Roman, my question is this. Would you rather go for a hype 41mm sub or a nicely patinaed 1970s 80s Submariner, which might take longer to sell, but a better long-run investment? I'm a little bit biased, so I wear a 45-year-old Submariner, my single red, right? And I absolutely love it. But at the same token, I wear modern Rolexes just the same. So for me, it's if the question is hype versus something that's a little more subdued, I'm going to go for hype, right? I will wear hype watches, but I will appreciate the vintage stuff as well. See, I appreciate both. I appreciate vintage and I appreciate hype. But I've always told you guys numerous times, there's nothing wrong with hype. There's nothing wrong with wanting to drive a hype car or wear a fancy outfit or something that's sort of attention grabbing and brings us self-satisfaction, so to speak, right? But so, yes, I will go for hype. You?
Probably hype.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a question of being honest with yourself. Like, you know, it's like I always say.
I absolutely do love, although I'm not super well versed in vintage Rolexes, even though I am studying and learning about them. I think some of them are just sick. I really like them, so I would go vintage over modern Submariner. Yeah, any day.
And first times, those that own a fancy car, let's say an exotic, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a McLaren, or whatever it is, 9 out of 10 of those people are still, you know, part of the factor of owning that car is going to be the head turner factor.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the same kind of goes for watches, right? You know, it's very hard to explain to somebody, not that I would, that when I wear my vintage sub, people just see me wearing an old beat up Rolex. They don't realize that my particular Submariner is worth 30 grand plus today, yep. Right? But that's not why I'm wearing it. It's because I actually do like the watch. But the hype factor, 9 out of 10 times will win. Jizzy Ninja, that's a handle. Love you guys. Thanks for doing this live. If you can pick any Rolex at list to have for yourself right now, no reselling, what do you pick? Oh, I know what you're gonna say. Hold on. Don't answer that. Let me pull up a picture.
Let me know when, Roman.
Uh-huh. Adrian, if you could pick any Rolex today at list to keep for yourself, no reselling, which would it be?
I'd have to go with the Rainbow Daytona.
see, can't make this up. This is live, guys. All right, so yeah.
And not only for the fact that, again, we're not talking about resale value here, and since I'm not reselling it,
I think that watch is ugly.
First off, it's not ugly. Stop saying that.
I think it's ugly.
If I was able to get a Rolex Rainbow Daytona at retail, that means that I'm a very, very, very VIP client. It's like finding, gold under the a better term. I mean, it's extremely hard to do. So
I am going to go also with the Daytona, but I'm going to go with a platinum Daytona baguette bezel diamond dial.
Baguette bezel diamond dial.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the watch. That's the watch I'm going for. I think that I like diamond watches.
They don't make that anymore. But if you could get it at retail back when it was available,
that's a to me. That's the way today the market that watch 175 or so, plus or minus.
With the pave dial.
With the pave dial and the baguette bezel.
Yeah, over 200.
Over 200 right now. Yeah. So that's
a sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
So for me, I'll take that over the Rainbow Daytona anytime, regardless of what the resale value may or may not be.
I'll take the Rainbow.
And Jizzy Ninja, thank you for the $5. As I said, guys, I don't expect you guys to pay to get your questions up there. That's not what the show is about. But I see that you guys are doing it anyway. So whatever money we collect up at the end, we'll give that away to charity. Let's see, Timothy Cohen, forgotten vintage brands, good investment. Just picked up my dream watch. It was a 1960s Wittenauer 7004A. I actually know what that watch is. So here's the issue: it's very difficult. Yeah, thank you. Here's the issue: it's very difficult to, if you're not hot, you're not hot, right? If you look at the hot watches in the vintage market today, they are directly correspondent to the hot current models, right? So your GMTs. Your Submariners, your Daytonas, your vintage Patek's like the 3700s. All the vintage Royal Oaks have gone through the roof. By the way, guys, remember I did a show on those 36 millimeter two-tone moon phases and day dates and all those things. Guess what? I told you so once again, right? I told you those guys were sleepers at the time. They were trading anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000. Today they're pushing 20 plus, right? So, but why? It's because whatever's currently hot is directly going to correspond to something that was hot that's hot in the vintage market. So it's very difficult to all of a sudden say, oh my God, Wittenauers is just so hot right now. Well, when were they hot as brand new models? It's just a question of things. The more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess, right?
Yeah.
A Daytona was hot in the 60s, Daytona was hot in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and so on and so forth, up until today, and it's going to continue doing so. So odds are, the answer to your question would be no. Did you ever get caught in a fake from JLCast997? Yes. So, if you read the small print on our website, the About Us page, which nobody ever reads, right? One of the things I came up with when I first opened up the website many moons ago is if we ever end up, to give you the confidence to purchase from us, if we ever find me selling you a fake, I will refund you twice the money. And it happened to me once on a Panerai. I bought a Panerai from a dealer. It was a plain Pam, like one of those 111s or 112s, just a plain J Marina with a date, right? And it had no box, no papers, pre-owned. I bought it at a proper price at the time of the market, what I paid for it. I sold it to a client. 2 or 3 years later, that client decided something went wrong with the watch. The client gave it to Panerai to fix, and Panerai said the watch is fake. Not only did they say it was fake, they said it was such a good fake that if it wasn't for the numbers, the OP and the BB numbers that didn't mismatch in their computer, they wouldn't even know. So whoever made that fake was an amazing fake. I immediately offered the gentleman to refund double his money. This is a guy that's bought from us from time to time. Post that purchase, he understood there was no foul play. So what I ended up doing is buying him a brand new one and replacing that watch. I actually took that watch 3 years later to the dealer that I bought it from. He refunded me the money, no questions asked, and that was my fake experience. What about you?
Actually, it happened recently, and it happened with an AP Carbon Ginza, where this watch came in and it was just a freaking clone of a regular Carbon Ginza.
And it came in that service box from AP. Remember, it came like that green box.
It came with papers too. It was every single little aesthetic detail on that watch was identical, except for one thing that I missed was the color of the date wheel. And it's impossible to tell unless you're like really zoned in and know what you're looking at. The date wheel was white instead of black.
And that's just a miss on our part.
That was just every.
But again,
usually sometimes I could tell from a mile away. The subdials don't look right. The font doesn't look right. The date is a different size. The feel of it, the overall.
Yeah, like when you pick up a watch,
you just know. Sometimes you just know. This was just spot on, freaking perfect. You know, if you line one up with the other.
Plus, don't forget, this isn't a watch that came. You have to also understand the amount of business we do B2B, right? How many times a day we buy things from dealers all day, every day. For how many years some of the people that we do business with. So you know, when you get a watch from another dealer, you don't think as hard in regards to checking this meticulously to make sure it's not a fake, because you know who you're doing business with. And you know what? It's just part of our business. You know, once in a blue moon, you're going to end up with a stolen watch.
Listen, thousands and thousands of watches that we
you're going to end up with a stolen watch. You're going to end up with a fake watch that passes you.
Very rare.
But with fakes, it's what do you call it? It's just 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 in 20 years.
I can't think
that's not
much
bad.
more, which is crazy.
That's not bad. You know what I mean? All right. And speaking of fakes, the next question was, hold on, I lost my spot here. Speaking of which, EPC acquisition. I purchased naked, no papers, used 2007 Rolex Pepsi. Am I risking it being confiscated by Rolex Service Center if I send it to them to do an appraisal, insurance, verify, and it shows up on their system as stolen? Yeah, of course. That's the risk that you take.
I don't know if Rolex does that. I don't know if they confiscate.
They do.
Are you sure?
They do. Yeah, they do.
I know brands like Van Cleef do, brands like Cartier do.
Again, if they do or they don't, I guess that's
Rolex
something you can find out from just by calling Rolex or the service center that you're going to send it in. They'll answer that question, right?
AP they do. It's red flag.
Yeah.
Like if it comes in, they will confiscate it.
And rightfully so. But again, it's one of those things where I hope you bought it from either a reputable dealer or something like that. So let's say if you bought that watch for me and ended up being stolen, and you send me a letter from Rolex, hey, my watch got taken, you'll get a full refund. I'll take that letter for whoever I bought it from and get my money back until the last guy gets stuck with the watch, whoever bought it from whoever, right, or took it off somebody's wrist. So I guess I don't know.
What?
But that's something maybe
Rolex.
I don't know if they do confiscate. But that,
I've
again,
never heard that
if you call,
I could be wrong.
Listen, if you call them, they will tell them.
What do you mean?
Just call them and say, listen, I bought this watch from.
No, they will not do that over the phone. No way.
You don't think?
No.
I guess there's one way to find out. Send it in. Hopefully, you bought it from a reputable source where it doesn't show up.
First off, you call in any Rolex ID, they won't know. They have to actually send it in.
Right.
I don't think they have a database of all.
No, it's not about knowing if it's stolen or not. I think it's a question they can ask. He can ask them the question. It's like, hey, so here I have this Rolex I got from somebody online. If I were to send it in for service because I want to get it serviced and it does come up as a stolen watch, do you keep the watch or not? That he could probably ask.
Maybe they can answer that. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go with Mark Henning. What watch would you buy if you had a budget of $5,000? Jeez, that's you guys ask all these questions all the time. What would you buy for this, and how many? Oh, if you had to buy 10 watches for this and 10 watches for that. There's such an infinite amount of watches out there at this point and $5,000, could relatively be not a big budget, but relatively could be a big budget, But for me to pick a single watch at $5,000, it would have to be some kind of a Speedy. Like a nice pre-owned Speedmaster.
I would go IWC route of some sort or Panerai route of some sort. IWC makes a lot of nice watches in that price range.
Listen, you can go some of the older master compressors from Jaeger, right? Which today you can pick up a nice dual time around that price range.
I've never been the biggest fan of them, even though I see. Yeah.
All right.
Portofino, Portuguese. You can do it.
Sarup Singh. Hey Roman, greetings from India. Planning to buy my first luxury watch. What would you suggest? Should I go for an Omega Rolex, or any other watch brand? And I'm going to answer this the same way I answer it every time. Buy what you like first and foremost. It's irrelevant what I like. If you're looking for recognition, I'm going to tell you Rolex, first money watch, right? Yep. But at the end of the day, you just got to buy what you like. I cannot make a suggestion in the world of watches of what's the first watch you should buy because, I don't know you. If a friend of mine asks me these questions, right, like a lot of my friends, take advantage of the fact that I'm in the watch business, right? And, when it's time for them to buy a watch, I'll tell them what they shouldn't buy. I know what their personality is like. I know how they dress and where they hang and what they do on a daily and things like that. That makes my life a lot easier. But to a complete stranger, I'm going to tell you the same thing I always say, buy what you like.
Yep.
Let's see. Tim Blackford. Hey guys, I've just collected my Rolex 41mm OP with a silver dial. Do you think I've made a mistake with the dial color? Your opinion would greatly be appreciated. I'm going to say yes.
Made a mistake in terms of what? For
The
resale?
the dial color. Because, look, Rolex finally, you know, they sued that one company that made the colorful dials, right? And then they obviously went on and started making these colorful dials. If you had an option to pick a different color dial, I say yes, you made a mistake. You bought a great watch, right? But if you had an option to pick a different color, then I say yes, you made a mistake. I would go with the Tiffany dial. I would go with the green dial before anything else. I would even go with the coral dial. The yellow, maybe not so much. The green, yeah. The green I would definitely go with. So if you had a choice between picking a different color dial versus the silver, then my answer is going to be yes.
The problem with the silver and blues is just that they're just like a Datejust without a date in silver or blue, because there's so many corresponding Datejusts that look just the same. So, and for resale purposes, you made a mistake. But
Wolf Commander, what would be the best mechanical watch for a builder carpenter? Lots of beating, sawdust, sometimes water, and fistfights over politics. Love the channel, long time subscriber. Rolex. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Finished talking about how durable and how well made Rolexes are. Again, I've said it numerous times. Take it, throw it up against the wall.
Yeah, something in steel.
You know, something in stainless steel, and
or something in platinum if you need to use it as a weapon.
Much heavier watch. Yeah, there you go. So Rolex, certainly Rolex on that one. Best Jonathan Sang, best value high horology manual wine chronograph.
Probably something from Lange.
Either that, or I would probably go with the old school 5070 Patek with the manual Limania movement.
But is that a Patek movement?
No, it's a Limania movement. But
okay.
We were talking about a manual wine. We're talking about a manual wine chronograph. I'd go with
5070.
Yeah, 5070.
Iconic
I would definitely.
It's for sure.
I would definitely go with the 5070, and I'm not going to get into the details of the history behind that movement, what it really was. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that. I did do an episode on that though. There's one. That's for you. 1 Inch Punch. What's your buy sell for new 41 sub no date?
12K sell for 13.
Insanity. And retail on it is what today?
$9,000.
Yeah.
Give or take a few $100.
The Niche Everblue. What are your thoughts on the new Zenith Chronomaster Sport, aka the Daytona? I'm going to pass on this question because while I was at home with COVID, and yes, guys, I had COVID. I just got over it. Can't smell anything still, but I'm you already had COVID, man. Come on. I actually did a whole segment on the Chronomaster Sport, aka the Daytona. So that should air. Ian, when is that airing? Thursday? Yeah, that's gonna air. That's gonna air this Thursday. So I'll give you all my thoughts on that particular watch. Mohammed Abu Namath. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. Hi, is it realistic to see 5711 prices skyrocketing while everyone knows there's another one coming on the way? Thanks. We taped a Watches and Whiskey prior to this, prior to going live, and we actually just discussed this. And Adrian's in short answer was short dip.
I'll give you ABC. A, depends on when it comes out, where the global economy and watch market will be as a whole, which I would assume by the time it comes out, things will be okay. B, size, what it's actually going to look like, what color it's going to be, because I did hear speculatively that there will be no date. I think that the 5711 will dip a little bit, but then come back up. And yeah.
And we talked more about that. That episode, I guess, is going to air a week from now. Jorge Morano, do you think Rolex is going through its best moment as a company? Do you think it will have the same or more recognition 30 years from now, or on the contrary, its fame will end?
On the way up.
On the way up. Rolex's fame will never end.
It's in its history. It's every year after year. It's just become better and better. I'm sorry. There's no.
Here's Rolex, and they're number one. And whoever you consider number two is off the screen, way down here. They're just so far ahead of their competition. Yeah. They're just so far number one in terms of recognizability. Is that even a word? In terms of recognition, in terms of sales, in terms of marketing, in terms of just everything and anything. You know, resale value. All those things.
There's no brand that holds resale value like Rolex does within the amount of amount of units they produce.
I can't think of a scenario in my head where Rolex loses the number one spot. I just can't. You know, and I have a pretty good imagination.
Impossible.
I just can't. You know. Impossible. So 30 years from now, hopefully we're still all around and healthy. You'll see the same picture.
Yeah.
And the Daytona will still be the number one selling watch. Kieran Walsh, if you could both take a watch brand over and become CEO for a year, which would you choose, and what one major change would you make?
LVMH.
No, watch brand, not the group.
Yee. Oh, that's a tough one, man. Richard Mille.
Really?
Yep.
What the hell are you going to change? They're doing all the right things. Okay, what would you change?
I would continue to do.
No, you would have to change something. I know I would continue to do the same thing they're doing as well, but
if I had to change something, yeah, I might have to knock out Richard Mille because everything they're doing is. I'll tell you one thing about Richard Mille. This is actually something really funny to point out that I just thought about, that no other brand in the world has this. And here's what it is. They have started to open up pre-owned boutiques.
They already opened one up in London.
They opened one up in Japan.
And London.
London, I could
be. Yeah, Watch Niche did a thing on it.
There is no brand that I could think of that has their own stores, brick and mortar stores, where they sell units for more money than their actual new stores.
It is insane.
There is no brand like it.
It is absolutely insane.
So I probably wouldn't go Richard Mille. I would probably go. Man, that's tough. That's a tough one.
You know what else they could do? I mean, if you want to fantasize about things, the reason the Richard Mille is so hype is obviously supply and demand is the biggest issue, right? Not to mention the fact that they're a hype brand and just ridiculous watches and so ridiculously priced that it draws all that
lack
attention.
Of accessibility.
You know, if they were smart, you know what they would do? Is as they're buying up these pre-owned Richard Milles off the market, is destroy them or stick them in a museum. Can you imagine what that would do? They will forever, their prices forever will be up and crazy. Just literally stick the stuff away in a museum.
I don't know if I don't know if the numbers would make sense if they destroy
the numbers that they're selling these things. It probably
if they do 3,500, 4,000 units a year and they destroy all their other
I don't
stuff.
even think they do that. I think they're like at what?
I think
25, 3,000 or something like that.
More, but whatever.
If I were to take over one brand, what would I change? Gerard Perregaux, right?
What?
Historically, the dog of all dogs, right? No resale value, lots of closeouts, blah, 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 blah. It would be a company like Gerard Perregaux that has so much history, so many iconic pieces that have made, so many horological achievements they've made over the years. It would be that one brand that I would literally take over, stop, completely stop. I would stop and halt all productions, completely regroup, remarket myself, come back with some of the most kick-ass ambassadors, recognizable figure in the likes of Rafael Nadal, in the likes of Roger Federer, some big names, right? Completely would not lose the heritage. I would redesign, my iconics. I would redesign the iconic pieces.
I got a better one. Go ahead.
And I would love to see a company like that. I would love to see a company like Quorum, right? The companies that have all this great history, all this iconicism behind them.
Make a lot of words up on this channel.
I just make words up as I go along. Grailable, right?
Grailable.
And I would love to see those companies come back big and strong.
Lange. I would do Lange. I would take over Lange, and before a gray corners the market, I would try to take matters in my own hands, and I would actually try to produce some more sports models like Patek did. You saw a huge surges in Patek popularity and demand with the Nautilus, with the Aquanauts. Lange just did it with the Odysseus models, and it worked very well.
Yes.
So I think if they're missing, they're right there. They're just missing something with the marketing and exposure, because everybody who's a watch fan, everybody knows of Lange and they know that they're a great watch. Yet it's still not there yet with the other big four. Much closer.
Okay.
I'll take over Lange.
I'll go with that. All right, so we're gonna wrap. Where are we at, Ian? Time wise?
We're at 58. We're at an hour.
We're at an hour, so we're gonna keep this. We're gonna keep this to an hour. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Let us know if you want us to continue. If you want me or me and Adrian to continue these Q&A lives. I'm still gonna continue with regular Q&As as well. I will do these more often because I feel like I'm able to get more questions answered. A lot of times on a live feed, questions get skipped, and there's only so many we can do. But before we go, we got to pick a favorite question to give away this hoodie. Well, not this very one that he's wearing. An actual
Pick your favorite question to give a hoodie to.
Let's see. What's a favorite question here? Let's scroll back up.
If I was a watch.
Which one?
If I was a watch,
I gotta go with that because that one's
That's a
thunder.
good one.
That was a really good one. So that was.
You get real creative with that.
Who was that from? Let's see. Now I gotta scroll up in these questions. Hold on a second. No, I think I already skipped it.
Hold on. You just don't know how to use WhatsApp properly.
Here we go. Kieran Walsh asked if you could both take a watch brand. No, that's taking a watch brand over. Adrian, who was it? Search the chat. Adrian?
I'm looking. I'm searching through the WhatsApp chat and it keeps bringing back the Kieran Walsh's question, but I know that's not the one.
Okay, well, whoever asked.
There you go. This one.
Sean Park.
Sean Park.
If you and Adrian could magically turn yourselves into watches, which watch would you guys be and why? Sean Park, I think that was a very creative question. It's definitely stumped me. I didn't really know how to answer that one. So email Roman Sharf at luxurybazaar.com and with your address, and we'll get one of these hoodies out to you. Guys, I appreciate you sticking around for an entire hour for us. I gotta be honest, the time flies really fast. I try to talk faster, I try to answer faster, I try to keep those questions to sort of a minimal length in order to be able to get more questions in. So obviously there's a lot more questions that we can physically answer in an hour, and I don't think you guys want to hang out for 5 hours with us. But other than that, I thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you guys again on a live Q&A. Let us know your thoughts on the live format. Let us know what you think and if we should continue doing this. Other than that, we're going to sign off and like, share, subscribe to all those great things. I don't know if that's even done with live, but we'll see you guys later.
All right.